We're kind of changing what the paradigms of traditional incubation and acceleration are and have been for a lot of years. Several years ago, I kind of had an epiphany after going into a coffee shop, and I asked for a cup of coffee. That was a mistake. That's when the questions began. Well, what kind of coffee do you want? Do you want light? Do you want regular? Do you want decaf? Do you want flavored? Do you want latte? And the questions just kept right on going. It was like an FBI, CIA inquisition. All I wanted was a simple cup of coffee. Well, that kind of whole thing took a toll. And it really caused me to think, what else is being done in this way? There's a disruptive force at work that's happening in almost every industry. Clothing, food, movies, entertainment, social media. It keeps on going and going and going. So it dawned on us that we were kind of traveling in a parallel universe, as it were. I was the managing director of a regional technology incubator with an emphasis on clean tech, alternative, renewable energy, and the like. And that we were following a model that was actually created a long time ago when none of this really existed. So incubation itself is an old line industry whose primary drivers were academia and economic development, not exactly the poster children of creating transformational paradigm shifts in sales, marketing, and collaboration. So it seemed simple enough that the model was the way it was, but was the model sustainable? Well, I would say no. The model as it was is not sustainable. And to prove that point, one of our biggest fears was that when we interviewed a client, and we asked them right off the bat, how are you going to be sustainable? Biggest fear was they asked that question of us. Because we were dependent on grants, subsidies, et cetera, everything else but making money. That's not a sustainable market. So after 5 years of stressing on the renewal of grants, having just gone through it again, and the inability of early stage companies to pay for rent and services, we decided as a board to take some innovative action. We're going to divest ourselves of costly real estate and very expensive overhead. We're going to multiply our services. We're going to be exponential when it comes to mentoring, coaching, and providing expertise to client companies. And we're going to join a virtual community. And this was back in 2010. It also became very clear at that time that our mission wasn't just to help startups and early stage companies prepare the usual business plans, the usual marketing plans, and the usual hockey stick projections. We needed to be more. Rather, the end game for any company, big or small, startup or mature, is to sell stuff. It's not always developing stuff, it's selling stuff. So in today's world, in today's investment world, the only way you get funded is if you prove that there's a market for your product or service and that someone will actually pay money to buy it. We also learned that during the post-recession period, there were so many experienced and knowledgeable people all over the world who were anxious to share their expertise with entrepreneurs with the basics through partnering, collaboration, and commercialization. We could accomplish this goal using digital connectivity, social media, interactive communications, where we all carry a smartphone, we're always in touch. There was a whole article yesterday about people crossing street and getting killed in Manhattan because they're not paying attention to where they're walking. We're constantly in touch. I, for one, don't have that much to say to anybody, but there's a lot of people who seem to do that. But the whole idea is the commercialization of goods and services worldwide, regardless of your location. Now everybody is connected. So iCAN-Global now has physical representation in 16 countries. We've reviewed applications from well over 150 mentors, advisors, coaches, executives, specialists, etc. And we have become a platform, or are becoming a platform, for international trade and economic development. We've also been responsible for a lot of collaboration. There you go. One such collaboration that some of you may have heard about is recently, this was a client of ours through one of our representatives in Sweden. And the company we've been working with for some time, preparing them for globalization. And what we did was we found a project in the United States that they were anxious to participate in, and we hooked them up with one of our US contacts, a company called N-Sources out of Delaware, who had found a project in Pennsylvania who was looking for a municipal application for a renewable energy project, a solar thermal project. We hooked the two of them together. Lo and behold, after a couple of months, we are now in the process of actually constructing a factory in Hazel Township, Pennsylvania, which is going to be staffed with US workers, which is going to crank out lots of solar thermal technologies, enough to power the entire municipality of Hazel, including the airport, a commercial establishment, and even part of the township. Our plan is over the next 2 to 3 to 5 years to open up at least 5 manufacturing facilities here in the United States that will generate over $1 billion in revenues. That's just an example of the kind of partnering that we do. So iCAN-Global is more than just a connectivity organization. We are actually transforming a traditional subsidized business into a for real business, making it global and inviting participation. One of the most unique features about our organization is, to our potential clients, it's not free. We do charge for our services. And conversely, if you are a mentor, a coach, or an executive with us, we pay you for the privilege. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not something that you can retire on tomorrow morning. It's a process. And we invite people who want to become mentors, who are executives, have something to contribute, feel they can be beneficial to a lot of our companies. And that's what we're looking for. So we look naturally for clients. We look for mentors. We look for service providers who can provide services. And we're very, very pro on what can happen. My friend Stan Goldstein is here this morning, sleeping in the corner. No, I'm only kidding. And we're even working here in the US on helping US companies prepare on a corporate level for what they need to do to be able to accept capital, to make sure that your corporation is formed correctly, working with Markham on the accounting side, and all the principles that go into making good, quality, sustainable companies. That's what we're about.